Succulent, by definition, is a plant that withstands periods of drought by storing water in its tissues. And that means that most of these plants are from very dry, arid conditions, habitats. These habitats tend to not get that cold in the winter. So in this region where it gets down to maybe 17 degrees, maybe the mid-teens, and it gets well over 100 degrees in the summer, as we found out today, you're going to have to think about your microclimates. Well, you have to do that anyway in your gardens. Anybody know what this is?
Aloe vera.
Aloe vera, very good. And those of you who weren't quite sure what, my voice is pulling out pretty well. Yeah.
Okay, I was going to try to fix them.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. So what I'm going to do is show you why aloe vera got so popular. Let's see, is this going to break for me? Okay, here we go. You see that? You see the gel on the leaves? Look at that. Looks like snot, huh? So, this gel is used in cosmetics. It's used in, gosh, all kinds of, yeah. A lot of people have it as a windowsill plant because the gel is very good at soothing burns. I used to take the leaf and slice it and rub it over my son's back where he got sunburned. Yeah, and it feels good. It's very cool and soothing. I wanted to tell you, this plant reminds me of a labyrinth in San Diego. And, here in Sebastopol, I think you of all people would appreciate the benefits of having a labyrinth. I mean, it's a meditative experience. You're open to that. I mean, you guys are forward thinking in these things. You probably all walked a labyrinth, haven't you? Okay, most of you are nodding. So let's have a show of hands. How many of you have walked a labyrinth? Okay, see?
They have one downtown.
Oh, they have one downtown.
Yeah, at the community center.
Oh, okay. Well, in San Diego, there is a place called the Center for Creative Renewal. And the front yard is, they tore out a lawn. And they put in a labyrinth because they had this big flat area. And they wanted something interesting. So they installed a labyrinth, and a labyrinth is a circuitous path. It's like a maze, only it's not a puzzle, that you walk along and you get to the center and then you follow it back out. And what makes it meditative is that you can go in with a problem on your mind, and as you get to the center, you're meditating on the problem and it seems insurmountable, and you get to the center and you start to unwind on your way out, and the problem resolves itself. It's an amazing thing to experience. So a great experience to have, useful experience to have in your own yard. So those of you with big lawns that are flat and you want to take it out, and you want to get those rebates from your water district, well, consider installing a labyrinth. And what they did at this particular one is the mounded soil that's between the pathways, is planted with this plant. This is Sedum rubrotinctum pork and beans. They should have consulted me before naming it because I think it should have been called jelly beans.
One more time, Sedum.
Sedum rubrotinctum.
Okay, thank you.
Pork and beans. There's a photo of this labyrinth in my book. And this is one of the sedums that you could use to plant on the mounds between the pathways.
What's even more dangerous are gophers.
Yeah.
Right? So I know I recognize about a third of you, and you've probably had the gopher basket conversation. So I would recommend that any gardening you do whatsoever these days that you resort to gopher baskets, because the gophers are resorting to all the least weeds that they traditionally left alone. But we're in the third year of our drought, and they will find these to be tasty, succulent little plants and roots. So do take that precaution.
Gophers, I have gophers.
We have the highest concentration of gophers in the country.
You know, we were talking about it today at Lone Pine. Yeah, at Lone Pine, the gophers were pulling the plants down. You could see them.
Let me say something.
Yes.
My niece, who has this property over here, I've never seen gophers there before, and it's just covered with gopher mounds. And I said, what, you know, it got a beautiful daphne that was huge, and so my son said, oh, that's easy. You just dig down a foot and put fish scraps in every 6 to 8 feet. And he says, I did it, and they've never come back on his hill again.
Well,
Fish scraps. What now? Fish scraps. I'm sorry, it takes away from your basket.
well, so the gopher,
They shoot right through those baskets.
Yeah.
We want to make sure when you put these plants in the ground, that water's going to drain away from them. Cactus is not real happy in a soggy situation. Succulents will tolerate it a whole lot more than cactus, although I don't know about Burbank spineless. I seem to see it everywhere here. So maybe that doesn't mind it so much. But the rule of thumb is plant on mounds. So like the rock garden I was telling you about at Lone Pine, that's a nice mounding setup there. And I knew when I looked at it that when the pouring rains came down, that was just going to drain right off of that mound. And it wasn't going to cause the roots to sit in water and rot. So what's kind of cool to do sometimes is to plant these succulents at the top of an ornamental grouping, and then more water-thirsty plants toward the base. So the succulents, the water that they get drains away, and it feeds the plants that need it along.